Darren, first of all, welcome to Newcastle United. You're finally here, you can start work and start to get to grips with the place as well. How does it feel to be here?
Tom, I'm so excited. I mean, obviously, it's a real honour and a privilege to be CEO of a club with the rich heritage of Newcastle United, but at such an exciting time too. I mean, we obviously had the game on the weekend that was just incredible. I was fortunate enough to manage to get to the game and to see the passion, the fans, and what a great game of football it was as well. And for me, it was a great reminder of just how good the Premier League is. It's just the best league in the world.
Have you missed the Premier League?
I have. I mean, it's really interesting. My role, when I was out in Major League Soccer in America, play with Atlanta United, it was obviously exciting growing a club from scratch. But the realization when you watch that game against Manchester City and just the noise, the atmosphere, the physicality. I love the way that we went toe to toe with Manchester City, one of the best clubs in the world, and it was a 6-goal thriller. And you just realise that is why the Premier League is such a great product around the world.
Why here? Why this particular club? And why now?
I think for me it was just the opportunity that was too good to pass up. I think a chance to join Newcastle United. At this stage it's a club with, as you know, a rich heritage, an amazing passionate fan base. But now you've got a committed ownership. There was people like Eddie Howe that was on board, Dan Ashworth, who I know very well. People that are real good football people, and a chance to take something and really build something special. And I think for me that was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. I love my time in the United States. I love being a pioneer over there, building a club from scratch. I was employee #1 when I went out there, and we built something pretty special while I was out there. But Newcastle United, this city, the passion that's here, the possibility and the potential. I mean, I know Dan in his interview talked about a monster of a club, and I'd use the cliche sleeping giant, but this is clearly a city and a club that's got a real chance to be one of the top clubs in Europe, and that's obviously the dream and that's the hope.
You've come in as CEO. Give us a little bit of an insight into what that role will entail here, and also into how you're intending to go about tackling it.
Well, yes, coming in as CEO, I think my role is collaboratively with the board, setting out the vision, the strategy. I think our goal, and we've spoken about this, the vision for the club is we want to be a sustainable club, we want to be a world-class club, we want to be doing that over the next 5 years. So that's going to take strategy, because there is a danger that there's so many things you could try and sort of seek to do that you could sort of lose the wood for the trees. So the important thing I think is strategically setting out that vision, and then how we're going to operationalize and execute against that. And so my role I see as a facilitator. My job is to try and create those resources so we can empower Eddie and Dan on the technical side to put the best product they can out onto the pitch, to improve that. I mean, it's been amazing to see what's happened in such a short space of time. But that's where it's really important that the whole club works together. And we really need to be united as one, because we know that what we can do, if we can grow those commercial revenues, that means that we've then got more funds available to go into the technical side, obviously to improve what happens on the pitch, and you get a virtuous circle then where better results on the pitch means more commercial revenue. And so that is the plan, to get the whole club going together with that one vision, and we're going to aim high. We're not sort of shy about that. This is something that we feel with this club, with the fan base that we've got the potential to be one of the top clubs.
You mentioned the word strategy there. Would it be fair to say that is a key word in terms of what's going forward and what you're going to be kind of tackling here? Is that something that is very much an incredibly important thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, even with my history, I've been very fortunate. I worked at West Bromwich Albion, Tottenham Hotspur after that. Then I went off to Atlanta in Major League Soccer. But I'd say with all of the clubs that I've worked with, I've been very fortunate that they've been very, very well-run clubs. So, the reality is in the game of football, it's very easy to get distracted. You've got to have a vision. Now, that doesn't mean that you're inflexible, and sometimes you have to pivot on certain aims that you've got, but the reality is if you don't have a strategy, then you're sort of you're in danger of being just caught in the wind of whatever is blowing at the time. So I think that strategy is important, and then it's about how do we as a club, United as a club, execute that strategy. And that's going to need everybody, and that's where the supporters are such an important part, because they are what you think about when you think of Newcastle United. I think if you ask many people around the world, the first thing they'll speak about is the fan base.
You mentioned before, though, that you know Dan Ashworth very well. I know you worked together at West Brom. Tell us a little bit about what he's told you about what to expect here and the current setup at the club.
Yeah, look, I was fortunate with Dan to work with him at West Bromwich Albion. So he was academy manager when I was there, and we actually made him into the sporting director at West Bromwich Albion. So, very well respected. Obviously, did some great things at the FA and Brighton since then. A really good bloke as well. And I think that's important because as we're going on the journey we're going to be going on, it's going to be really important that we collaborate and everybody is in this together. So Dan being here was something that was actually an attraction to me when I was looking at the role. And I think what Dan's been telling me, and it's been great to see and to hear from him, is the welcome he got coming into Newcastle. He's obviously been very busy. It's been a hectic start to the season, but the welcome that he's got from the club and the people around the club, and obviously the support of ownership that's been you can have seen that in the last 10 months in terms of how engaged ownership is. All of that, he speaks so highly of that, and of course that made me even more excited to be here.
You've done a number of jobs at football clubs over the years. I know you've been president, chief executive, legal director, club secretary, director of football administration as well.
Yeah.
To what extent have all those roles and how different they are, how has that given you a kind of oversight into what is needed to be successful, not just in one particular aspect of a club, but as a whole?
Yeah, look, I think everything's helped, sort of over my career. So I'm a failed footballer to start. I was at Cambridge United as an academy player, and at 18 I didn't get a professional contract, so I went over to the United States and played on a scholarship at university. Then I was fortunate when the new professional league was starting to play for a team in New York. So that was the sort of beginning of my career as a failed footballer. I actually then I read law at Cambridge and was a barrister, so I had the wig and gown on, was doing the court cases for about 6 years. And that's when I got the chance to go to West Bromwich Albion as their legal counsel. So that was my first role. I then picked up the club secretary role, which was, for me, a great learning experience because club secretary, particularly, this is now sort of 15, 16 years ago, you were sort of involved in everything at the club. And so that was a great grounding for me. Then I got a chance to go to Tottenham, perfect time in their first year in the Champions League when I joined them, and I was doing more on the football side. And then, of course, I got the opportunity at Atlanta United to grow a club from scratch. So as president, I was employee number one going in there.
You alluded to that, the idea of growing a club from scratch that you had to at Atlanta, and I know it's a slightly different situation that you're coming into here. What's similar about what you've got to do now at Newcastle United, and what's different to what you had to do at Atlanta? And is there any similarities at all in the sort of situations?
Yeah, I think there is. So just a little bit on Atlanta United, because it was a club from scratch. So it wasn't a case of a lower league club going into Major League Soccer. So 2014, employee number one, we literally had nothing, no name, no kit, colours, think about it. And that's the bit, for me at the time was exciting because over here in England, we take it for granted. Clubs have been around over 125 years, but this was a brand new club. So you had to think about everything from, what were you going to do in terms of manager, putting the team together, like I said, the kit, colours even, training ground we had to build from scratch. We had a stadium that was being built at the time. So everything was brand new. So that was, I think, really instructive for me because you have to be strategic. That was a great example of you could just be overwhelmed on day one in terms of, man, there's so much that we've got to do across the board here. How am I going to prioritise? I think there are similarities because I look at the potential that we have here at Newcastle United, and it's such a great potential. But of course, there's lots of things to be done. And I think, what I learned from Atlanta United, a number of things, my sort of leadership style of sleeves rolled up, you've got to get stuff done, and we've got to do that here. We can't carry anyone here at Newcastle United. It's going to need a team effort from everybody across the board, but that starts with me. I've got to have my sleeves rolled up, and I've got to lead by example. And I think that's what I learned from growing a club from scratch, and I think you can carry over here to Newcastle United. In
terms of that experience in America as well, having worked both sides of the Atlantic, is there anything that you kind of did in America or America did in MLS that you feel would be applicable and something that can enhance things over here in England at Newcastle United and in the Premier League?
Yeah, there is, and I've spoken about this quite often because it's really interesting. When I was in the States, a lot of the questions were always about what did you bring from England that made Atlanta United such a success? And the reality is there's a lot in America that I learned because I'll take the example of Atlanta United. We were competing with Major League Baseball. We had the Braves in Atlanta. We had the NBA Hawks. We had the Atlanta Falcons, which is the NFL American football team. College sports is huge in the South. And so you were competing with a lot of different sports. And so what that meant was, in terms of the supporter and fan engagement, you were trying to win hearts and minds from day one. And so I remember we had 2 years before we were actually starting when I joined the club. And I call my book Pub Crawl Your Way to Success if I ever write it, because I was literally meeting wherever I could with football fans. So Saturday mornings they'll show Premier League games, so I would be going to the various groups, whether it was the Tottenham Hotspur supporters group, the Newcastle supporters group, Manchester United, so meeting with people, trying to sort of win them over to Atlanta United. And I think what was really interesting to me and instructive is, if you put the supporter engagement and the supporter focus at the heart of every decision you make, so through every decision you make, business side, with the lens of how does that affect the supporter, what you end up doing is making better business decisions. It's not a case of, well, we're going to do that and check a box because that means, we've listened to supporters. It's going to be a pain in the neck to do it, but, we're going to listen to them. No, if you actually say, this is going to help the supporter engagement, you think about it through the supporter's eyes, you end up making better business decisions. And I think, we saw that with Atlanta United in terms of an average attendance of 50,000, one of the top 15 clubs in the world in global attendance. And obviously with that comes all of the success commercially.
In terms of that kind of influence and significance of supporters in that kind of thing that you're talking about there, what do you know about what we've got here? I know you were at St James's Park on Sunday and you saw it for yourself. What was that like, and what do you already know about the fan base here?
Yeah, look, I mean, on the weekend, it's an incredible game against Manchester City, and actually, one of the deciding factors for me in taking this role was I came over on a bit of a secret visit when we played Liverpool at the back end of last season. Now, I came to that game. The last match I'd seen before that was in January 2019, when we were selling Miguel Almiron to Newcastle United in the previous ownership. And to see the difference in terms of not only the energy in the stadium, so, big shout out to War Flags and what they've done with the flags in the stadium, because that Liverpool game just sort of took my breath away in terms of the atmosphere. But you compare that to what it was like sort of 3 years previous, and even around the city, just the general buzz from whether it's, the Uber driver that you're getting a lift with, just people talking and feeling that passion and excitement for the club. And I think that's the bit that, Newcastle is special. It has it, I spoke about it earlier. People around the world know Newcastle for the passion of their fans, and I think that's something that is really important when we talk about Newcastle United and we talk about the success that we want to have. They're vital to it. And we saw it on the weekend. Go down early to Manchester City, the lads could have folded, but the fans straight away are trying to lift the players, and I think it's that relationship where the team feeds off the fans and the supporters that really is something special here at Newcastle.
How much did that excite you, seeing that in person, especially knowing that you were going to start just a day or two later, and kind of giving you a bit of a snapshot of what this club could be going forwards?
Yeah, look, I mean, it was amazing. I was having a laugh because before the game, I was just having a little informal chat with the media. And if we'd have won the game, I said, look, I start officially on Monday, but if we win the game today, then I'm starting today. So with a draw in the end, I think I'll say that Monday's still my first official day. But I think, it was one of those moments where you sort of pinch yourself a little bit and say, wow, this is why we're so lucky to be in this industry. To work in football is a passion. It's something we do because we enjoy it, and you see the potential, and you just feel the sense of excitement in the city. And with that comes great responsibility, because this is a chance to really make a mark for the club and to bring some of that rich heritage that we've seen in the past with Newcastle United, but it hasn't been for a very long time, to try and bring that back and create something really special.
Tell us a little bit about how you work. Are there any kind of guiding principles or theories that inform how you go about things?
No, look, I think, firstly, from my perspective, I spoke about it earlier, but, leading by example. So I think, from my perspective, we're going to be in, a process here that's going to take, hard work, and that starts at the top. We all are going to be in this together, and everyone's going to roll their sleeves up. It's going to take a lot of hard work to get to where we want to get to. So I think leading by example, I think, is really important. I think, we want to aim high, so we're not shy about that. The reality is here, we've got a great opportunity with the backing that we have from ownership to do something special. So, we want to aim high. We want to be sort of setting our goals to be, successful, and to try and do that as quick as we can. So, we want to try and do that. And I think, from my perspective, I talk about the hard work, but also it's about having fun. I mean, the passion that you feel for, this club and for working for this club, we love doing that, and it's something that's exciting, but also, we're in the entertainment industry. So I think, there's sometimes a tendency to take ourselves too seriously in the world of sports. The reality is we want success, but my motto is, look, celebrate the highs, because there's always going to be the lows as well. So, this is why we're all in the business. So we're here to have fun, we're here to work hard, but, let's never forget that this is about having a good fun.
That's really a crucial point, because people might not necessarily associate football clubs and the inner workings of them with fun.
Yeah.
Is that a real kind of critical thing for not just yourself but also all employees at the club, and then filtering down as well through the coaching staff and the players, that they have to have fun and an enjoyable atmosphere here?
Absolutely, and I think, look, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. I think the reality is that this is about bringing people together to try and achieve collective aims, and I think it's much easier to do that while you're having fun. And I think we're in a privileged position working in the football industry. Lots of people would give their eye teeth to be able to work in the football industry. So I think that's the first thing. Secondly, like I said, at the end of the day, it's not a matter of life or death. I know Bill Shankly said that, but at the end of the day, we're in the sports and entertainment industry. So again, not to take ourselves too seriously. That doesn't mean we don't work really hard, we don't aim high, we don't push for success, but at the same time, we want to have fun doing it. And I think, again, you look at what Eddie's done, the way that Eddie has managed to galvanise the squad in such a short period of time. He's done that by creating an amazing togetherness and again, a sense of fun. You just have to go to training and you see that the lads are working hard, but they're also enjoying it. I think that's crucial in any work of life. If you want to have, the best results that you can get from what you have available, it's easy to do that when everyone's pulling in the same direction and they're doing it with a smile on their face.
Finally, Darren, this is a question that we asked Dan Ashworth as well in his first interview here. What's the first thing kind of in your in tray? What's the first sort of things on your to-do list? Without giving necessarily too many secrets away, what are those first things that you're going to be looking to address?
The in tray is very, very full. So it's about what do I prioritise in the in tray. And I think, that's the excitement about this role, is that, there's so much to get my teeth sunk into, but we've got to be strategic about it. So I think, the most important thing for me is listening. So I want to talk to the staff, I want to get a sense of the club, because I've just come in here, only started this week, and I don't want to have my preconceived ideas. I want to hear from the employees, from the supporters, from ownership, to be totally sure that we're all in the same direction when we put that strategic plan together. So that's number one. And number two is collaborating with the board on that vision and on that strategy. And then as we go to implement it, like I said, for me, it's about, can I pull everything together across the club to help everyone? So I spoke about the football side. So with Dan and Eddie, my aim is to help provide them with the resources they need and the support they need to put the best team they can on the pitch. That's my role, to shield them from anything that could be, taking their eye off the ball, and let them focus on the football side and getting the best team they can out on the pitch. On the business side, it's going to be about growing the commercial revenues, because we know in a financial fair play environment, it's crucial that we grow those revenues, because that gives us the ability then to feed that into the team on the pitch. So, trying to holistically set the strategy and then give every department their autonomy to go and achieve what we're all trying to do together. I'm almost really a facilitator to try and orchestrate that.